I don't know about you Viking fans, but I am excited about the Vikings cutting down to their 53-man roster. But what does that mean? How do they do it? What are the different designations? All that next in 3, 2, 1. Hey there, Skull brothers and sisters. This is Skull World, brought to you by Minnesota Sports Talk. I'm your host, Dave. You can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at Skull World. Make sure you hit subscribe, like, and leave a comment below if you want more videos like this. I love talking about the Vikings, and if you do that, if you subscribe, like, and comment, you'll be entered in my contest. I am 18 subscriptions away from giving you $50 worth of merchandise. In the form of a gift card to a website of your choice. Hopefully you buy Vikings gear with it. That'd be nice. But subscribe, like, and leave a comment. That's the first thing you should do. Now, what I would like to do is do an informational meeting or informational video on what's behind the 53-man roster. For an example, would be Harrison Hand getting released, and they wanted to pass him through waivers because they thought about re-signing him. They re-signed Ty Smith. What's going on with that? It's so confusing, and they were gonna save from giving a cash settlement to an injured player, an injury settlement, because you had the option, and I'll talk about that here in a second. You have an option there. Now let's talk about it. Now, a player being released. So when a vested veteran, those who have accrued 6 seasons in the NFL, is cut from a team, they are considered released. They are not required to pass through waivers and can immediately become an unrestricted free agent and sign with another team. So a 6-year veteran. For example, Adam Thielen gets cut. He's automatically a free agent. No need to pass through waivers and get claimed by another team. He has free go of it. However, a player like Justin Jefferson, I'm just throwing obvious names out there, does not have 6 years, so he would pass through waivers. And that's an example of Chris Carter back in the day where we paid like $50 or something like that, or $500, I forget what it was, but some astronomically low number because, we waiver claimed him. Now waived. That is a player who has not accrued 6 seasons in the NFL are waived instead of being released. 31 NFL teams will have a chance to claim waived players on their 53-man roster by 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on August 31st. If the players are not claimed on waivers, they become unrestricted free agents. Waiver priorities this time of the year is determined by team records from previous seasons. The team with the worst record will get the top waiver priority, in this case, the Jacksonville Jaguars. That gets updated weekly. So whereas before the conclusion of a week, the order is the draft order. So week 1's the order is the draft order. So we'd be picking 12th. So we would have a waiver claim, which is kind of a nice place to be. You're picking 12th. Somebody might slip, like let's say a lineman that we might need. I honestly don't think maybe a quarterback to compete with Mullins, or to replace Mullins, or replace Mond or Mannion. So who knows? But that's an opportunity there. Now, reserve physically unable to perform. So PUP list. This changed for the 2022 season. So this is new. What stayed the same is the players on the active PUP list can be placed on the reserve PUP list, and he moved to get the roster down to 53 players. Nice. Players who are moved to the reserve PUP list can attend team meetings, use team facilities for rehab, but are not allowed to practice. The time frame used to be the first 6 weeks for the 2022 season are required to placed on the list on August 23rd, and they can return to practice after only 4 weeks. So it's 6 weeks down to 4. That's nice. After 4 weeks, a 6-week window opens up during which the player can practice and be activated. If they're not activated in that 6-week period, they must be placed on injury reserve for the rest of the season. So let's say they're activate. So they're put on the list. 4 weeks go by, taken off the list. Then if they have 6 weeks, or they get placed on the injured reserve for the rest of the season. So they got to be active before then, or they get put on the IR for the rest of the season. Injured reserve. If a player is placed on injured reserve and is not on the 53-man roster on September 1st, they are not allowed to be designated to return from the injured reserve during the upcoming season. If they are placed on injured reserve after September 1st, they can be returned after missing a minimum of 4 games. So before first, you're out for the season. After the first, you're a minimum of 4 games. Non-football injury list, NFI list. Players placed on the non-football injury list have to go through the same process as players on the reserve pup list. They can go to team meetings and use. This is a person that's got hurt in a motorcycle accident or slipping out of the shower. Things like, things that happen. Blow your hand off of fireworks. Things like that. So that's the NFI list. They can go to team meetings and use facilities for rehab, but they are not allowed to participate in practice for 6 weeks. After that period, another 6-week window opens up where they can return to practice, and the team can choose to activate the player. If the player isn't activated at the end of this second 6-week period, they'll remain on the injured reserve for the rest of the season. The big difference with the NFI list is that they cannot be added to the active roster until the team has played in 8 games. Along with that, teams can withhold a portion of the player's salary if they're placed on the NFI list. So here's our examples. The Vikings made 3 types of roster moves to get down to 85 players. They waived fullback Jake Bargas and outside linebacker Andre Mintz. Those guys passed through waivers, if I'm not mistaken. And Mintz, I don't think we are necessarily retaining. And I think Jake Bargas we may have. These 2 guys can probably be, brought back on the practice squad. I think both of these guys would be eligible. Waived injured. Tyree Stevenson and Thomas Hennigan. Another situation where I think these guys can be brought back on the practice squad. And contract terminated vested veteran Ty Smith. Those are 3 of the types of situations. The Vikings made their moves over the course of 2 days, including a traded for QB Nick Mullins, released wide receiver Albert Wilson, waived injured outside linebacker Julian Taylor. These are all updates that happened. Waived cornerback Harrison Hand. He ended up signing somewhere else. Waived tight end Sean Baer. Reserve physically unable to perform. Middle linebacker Ryan Connolly. Wide receiver Blake Prohl. Released Jordan Perry. Re-signed cornerback Ty Smith. So he passed through waivers. He didn't get signed. We re-signed him. Put him on our 80-man roster. So right now he's back on the team. Sure, he's happy. Probably going to get cut right away again, though. But that's an example of what's going on. I know this was super exciting. I wanted to learn myself, so I looked into it. So this is what happens when you cut down to 53. Here's the different examples. You can get creative. If a player's injured, you can put them on the pup list and not worry too much about, cutting him from the team. So, but if you waive a player, they have to go through waivers. You release a player, that's because they have six years of vested veteran in them, so they can just go to free agency. Well, that's it for this video. Make sure you hit subscribe, like, and leave a comment below if you want to hear more things like this. Or tell me you don't want to hear more things like this in the comments. Either way, I want to know these things too, so I'm bringing them to you. This is Minnesota Sports Talk. I'm your host, Dave. Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at Skull World. See you next time. Skull Vikes. Cue the music. Thank you, Viking fans, for listening. Make sure you catch my other episodes. Also, make sure you subscribe, like, and leave a comment below. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Skull Vikes.